welcome back to another episode of the AAU Overtime Podcast. Jordan DeLuciano here as always, and it's night 2 of the Pool Play Reveal Show. We are going to go through tonight Division 2. We have 5 pools, 5 pool winners to be crowned later in a couple more weeks in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Also, a little bit of a twist this year, not just the 5 pool play winners in Division 2. So this will just apply to D2, D1 and D3, and women's not applying to. This will just apply to D2. 5 pools, 5 pool winners, and 3 wild cards. So in the past, you didn't win your pool. It was tough. You were out. You came in second in your pool. You are out. But now, if you come in second in your pool, you have a chance now to be one of the 3 wild cards, 5 pool winners, 3 pool wild cards, and then it'll be 8 teams overall. So you'll be battling potentially with other teams in other pools for that first, second, and third wild card spot. And also with the implementation of overtime now, you're going to get a point for an overtime loss as well this year. So if you make it to overtime in Division 2, you get a point, and that point total will go towards tiebreakers. So tiebreakers very important, probably going to come into play when it comes to the wild cards, the 3 wild card spots. And the tiebreakers are head-to-head. Points is the second one. So head-to-head's the first one, then points. So overtime loss is key there. So a team that goes 2-1-0 is less than a team that goes 2-0-1. So there you go. Head-to-head, points, wins, goals against, goal differential, fewest penalties, fastest goal, and fastest goal. So that's your order of tie breakers. So head-to-head, points, wins, goals against, goal differential, fewest penalties, and fastest goal. That is your tie breakers. So Division 2 to be revealed. Last I was downing my AAU college hockey, I got the Fisherman jersey today. I know it was an absolute disgrace that happened on Sunday. Great outdoor game on Sunday between the Islanders and Rangers. Great atmosphere. The place was packed, but it was an expected finish for the Islanders. We knew what was going to happen. It was 4-1. We knew we were blowing it. It was 5-3. We knew we were going to blow it, and we did. So it was expected, but still shocking if you're an Islanders fan. But I threw on the Fisherman jersey because who cares? I can wear it. Who cares? So to get through now with Division 2 pools. So again, 5 pools, 5 pool winners, and 3 wild cards. New rules along with the overtime rules coming into this year's AAU National Championships. The bids that the teams earn is 2 auto bids from each conference. So of the 6 conferences representing AAU Division 2, there are 2 auto bids in each, and the remaining 8 teams are determined by the rankings on My Hockey Rankings. So that's how these things got decided in Division 2. So without further ado, let's get into it. We got Pool A, B, C, D, and E. So we got 5 to get to, 20 teams overall, and let's kick it off with Pool A. There we have it. Kicking it off, Pool A, representing Division 2 in AAU, number 1 ranked Florida Atlantic, the Owls, went 18-4-1 on the year. That 1 at the end is a tie. Just heads up to anybody listening. Whenever I mention a record, it goes wins, loss, tie. So that's how it's going to go down. So 18 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie for FAU. They won 6 straight games to start the year, and their winning streak came to an end when they played a back-to-back series against Tampa's D1 team. They lost a game, and they tied to Tampa Division 1. So they have that experience, FAU, playing against D1. They also, in the first series of the second half of the season, they hosted Farmingdale. First game, they dominated, 8-3 win. The next game, they lost. But they split a series at home against Farmingdale. That first game was a convincing 5-goal victory for the Owls, but a tough finish to the season. They were upset in the College Hockey South playoffs, 6-4 against Clemson. Clemson wound up going to the finals, losing to Tampa. Hint, hint. Not Tampa, Tennessee, not Tampa, Tennessee. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Clemson and Tennessee. I feel like we're going to talk about those 2 teams and maybe even Tampa a little bit later. But the Owls good representation the past 2 years, 2 years ago at the Fed Cup, and last year in the AAU National Championships. They've made it, led by Weir at the top of the point production, Israel on the back end, Caleb Owens as well. They use Israel sometimes as a forward, very high-powered scoring team at FAU, well-earned number 1 spot. Number 2 team in Pool A, number 10 overall, representing the Delaware Valley Conference, Penn State Harrisburg, ranked number 10, 21-9 on the year. They have 9 players at 20 or more points, 20 plus points on the year. Yeah, 9 players, 20 or more points on the season, 7-3 in their last 10 games to end the season. Their top 2 leading goal scorers, 45 points and 40 points. Jake Stasic, might get the last names wrong. Forgive me. I'm trying. Jake Stasic, 45 points, and Andrew Sobolski. Sabalski. I'm going to go with Sabalski on that one. Andrew Sabalski, 40 points on the year. So 2 40-point scorers to lead the team for Penn State, replacing Cam Moore's production. He led the team back-to-back years. He's one of the leading goal scorers and point producers in all of AAU the past 2 seasons. But he moves on, and they have good production replacing Cam Moore. So there you see Penn State as well. Third team in AAU D2 Pool A, number 15 ranked Embry-Riddle, 10-14-2 overall. They had a 7-game homestand during the season, Embry-Riddle, and they went 0-6-1 during that 7-game homestand. They did wind up winning the final 3 games of the season, 2 against Georgia Tech, 1 against USF. And during that 7-game homestand, which they went 0-6-1, they had 2 losses against who? FAU, 3-0 and 6-3. That'll be the second matchup for FAU and Embry-Riddle, because the 1 spot plays the 4 spot, 2 plays the 3. That's day 1. And then day 2 will be 1 versus 3, 2 versus 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. Those are 3 days. But Embry-Riddle represented, I don't remember last year. I don't think they were there last year. I could be wrong, but I know Embry-Riddle was represented 2 years ago at the national tournament. But they come in ranked number 15. And then wrapping up, Pool A is Ramapo College, number 20th ranked. They are 11-10 overall on the year. Moscow, Pfizer, and Maurer, returnees from last year, leading the charge in point production. They did lose 2 key pieces on the forward group in Eddie Dada and Christopher Dressler. Dressler, one of the highest point scorers in all of AAU last year and the year before. So they lose 2 key pieces on the forward end. The back end defense, they lost a couple of guys on their top 2, 3, 4 defensive pairing. And then their goaltender from last year, they have Fiorello now getting the bulk of the games. Did not see much of it last year, but now it's his net this year. So Ramapo, a tough year this year, considering all the key losses they had, and they're going to have a tough challenge right off the bat playing against number 1 ranked FAU. So that is Pool A for AAU Division 2. FAU at the top, number 1, Penn State. Harrisburg, number 10, Embry-Riddle, number 15, and Ramapo representing the Empire at number 20. So that will do it for Pool A. And we move on now to Pool B. So second pool in Division 2, kicked off by the number 2 rank representing College Hockey South, University of Florida Gators. The Gators 14-7 this year. 0 games outside of the College Hockey South. So very interesting note when you look at the rest of their pool: New England Conference, and Delaware. So first time all year, they're going to be playing outside the College Hockey South. They do have a 4-1 win this year against FAU. And they do have 3 games against Division I opponents, all losses, unfortunately, for the Gators. 2 losses to South Carolina and 1 to Georgia. But they do have that big 4-1 win over FAU, the number 1 ranked team in Division II. And the Gators, a goal away from tying the Savannah Classic against Georgia. They were pressing late in that final period, that final minutes with the empty net, the Gators, but came up just short against Georgia in that Savannah Classic game. So now we move to number 9 ranked Mass Maritime, the Bucks, 17-6 overall in the season. They ended the year on a 4-game win streak, and they're going to see a familiar foe in that first day. You see Anna Maria, which we'll get to in a second, right underneath them. They played them 2 times this year, 2-0 against Anna Maria. 6-4, 7-4 wins for the Bucks. So right off the bat, familiar foe within the NEI HC. So the Bucks, they were represented last year. They did not make it out of pool play though, but the Mass Maritime Buccaneers were there last year. Good season this year with 17 wins. They come in at AAU D2, ranked number 9. And very interesting. We just talked about how the Gators, they're going to see a bunch of out-of-conference play for the first time all year. And then you look at the other end of things, the Mass Maritime Bucks. First game, they're seeing the same team in Anna Maria for the third time, trying to go 3-0. Against Anna Maria. So now let's go to Anna Maria College, number 14 ranked, 10-5 all year on the season, only 15 games. But in those 15 games, they did play a D3 team in Quincy, who I mentioned yesterday. Quincy College will be represented in D3. Quincy beat Anna Maria both times. Two matchups between Quincy and Anna Maria. Both of them went to Quincy. So Anna Maria, tough sledding there against that D3 opponent. Only 15 games, like I mentioned, but something to keep in mind about Anna Maria's program. Last year and the year before, let's go back 2 years. Babson wins the championship. They knock off Binghamton in the championship game. Babson went into that championship as the unknown. They wound up winning. Very good team. That year, I believe they only had 1 or 2 losses or ties. Who was beating them and who was tying them? Babson? It was Anna Maria. Last year, Babson, another great year. Unfortunately, Babson Beavers took a little bit step behind this season. But last year, Babson, again, right in the thick of things, they made the national tournament. But who were they struggling against last year? It was Anna Maria. Anna Maria finally getting that big spotlight now. Let's see if they live up to that. Maybe they could be like a Babson, a team where, not getting a lot of hype, not getting a lot of notice, kind of going under the radar, and maybe they can make some noise in the tournament as they come in as number 14. And then you got Newman University, the Knights, 13-4-2. On the season, 7-3 in their last 10 games. They did go 1-1-1 against Division I, a 3-3 tie and a 7-2 win against Delaware, and a 4-3 loss against Fordham. For Newman, McGinley and Ralph Triboletti, get those last names right, led the charge for 40 points and 33 points, respectively, for Newman University. Very good roller hockey program, I'm pretty sure. I grew up with some guys that went to Newman University, playing that roller team. Very good roller hockey program. So maybe that's translating to the ice as well. So there you have it in Pool B. The Gators, Mass Maritime, Anna Maria, and Newman wrapping up D2 AAU pool number 2. So I'm fixing things up, going through my motions here. We'll get that off the screen, and we'll move on now to Pool C. Kicking off Pool C is High Point University. Excuse me again. Number 3 ranked. They were in the tournament last year. High Point University. I think they went 0-3, unfortunately for them, but now one of the top dogs in Division II, 22-5 for the Panthers, representing the Atlantic Conference. Very strong season. 11 games they played this year against tournament-bound teams, whether it be D1, D2, or D3, and they went 8-3 in those games. So 8-3 in those 11 games. Jack Slayton, Nick Sasso, 61 points, 45 points, respectively, leading the charge for the Panthers at number 3 ranked for High Point. So they're right back in the tournament. University of Central Florida, the Knights, 16-9-3 on the year, unbeaten in their last 7 games before February 10th. So when they went into February 10th, that game, they were 6-1 in their last 7, 0-2-1 since. But good for Central Florida. They're going to see a familiar foe. You see right at the bottom of, we'll get to them, the number 18 seed. They not only knocked off the Rams, they also knocked off Hofstra, both on the road. So UCF made the trip up north and knocked off 2 road teams on the road. So impressive there for UCF coming in as number 8 seed. And they're going to see another CHS team. Alabama Huntsville, the Chargers, ranked number 13, 10-1 at 500 overall on the year. They started the year back-to-back games against Division I Auburn, 5-5 tie and a 6-1 loss, so a tough going in the second game. They do have a 3-2 win against Alabama's D1 team as well. So some decent numbers there against, you have 1 win, 1 tie, 1 loss against Division I for Bama Huntsville coming in at number 13. But in their last 2 home games, their last 12. Yep. not a lot of home games on the back end of the season. So they started a bulk of the game. You look at their schedule, a lot of the Chargers games that were at home. And then right at the end of the season, they only played 2 of their last 12 at home. So weird stretch there to wrap things up. Now they're going to play at the neutral site at the national tournament. So finishing up in Pool C, number 18th. How could we miss them? It's Farmingdale State College, the Rams, everybody, right? How could we miss them, everybody, right? Can't scoot over Farmingdale State. So Farmingdale State College, the Division II program, got off to a great start this year. They were off to 19-10-1 overall in the year. A great start, but 3-7 in their last 10 games. A very bad end of the year for Farmingdale, where they were trying to be one of the top dogs in D2. They were right there in the top 10 area for the bulk of the season, but that 3-7 record in their last 10, that does not help it. A bad finish to the season for Farmingdale State College. The leading scorer in Division II, Brandon Dixon, 80 points on the year, led D2 all in scoring. For all my listeners out there, do I need to talk about Farmingdale State College anymore? Let me know. If I need to talk about them more, let me know. I'll keep shoving it on more content down there. I know everybody loves it. I know you all love it. But, got to be honest here. Bad finish to the season. Tend to be a bit undisciplined at time, this D2 team. So if they could get that discipline aspect right, they could be on the right path. But things were not looking good for the Farmingdale State Rams D2 program at the end of the season, as now they go into Empire playoffs and then eventually go into nationals. So I'll take that off the screen. I know a lot of people were having a little bit of heart palpitation seeing that green logo at the bottom of the screen. I know it's tough, but we will now move on to Pool D. We got 2 more to go, this one and one more. Pool E, we'll get to in a second. But Pool D, the CHS Division II Conference champions. They knocked off Clemson. They went 17-8 overall on the year, number 4 ranked in AAU Division II. They have Division I wins this year against Alabama and Georgia. Like I mentioned, the College Hockey South champions, beating Clemson 4-1 in Division II. Patrick Green, the goaltender, won MVP of the tournament. So tip the cap to Patrick Green and net. And talking to that coaching staff, after they lost at the Savannah Classic, they lost that first game of the Savannah Classic. So the best they were going is that third place game. They played that third place game. And then talking to those coaching staff, they were not happy whatsoever. They knew they had a big following, a lot of eyes on that tournament. Tennessee fans all over the place watching that tournament. They're very disappointed, and they wanted to make those wrongs right. And what they do, they won the third place game, played a strong game, and they had a great finish of the season, capping it off with the conference title in CHS. So tip the cap to the Volunteers, and they're going to see a familiar foe, a team they beat 6-1, and the D2 program of Tampa. So Tampa also representing the College Hockey South. So we have 2 divisions on one side and then another 2 divisions we'll get to in a second in Pool D. Number 7 ranked Spartans of Division II, 16-10-2, 0-2-1 in their final 3 games. They had a 4-game win streak before that 3 games, but they also have a 4 goalie tandem that they can. It's not really been one guy that's been having the bulk share of games. It's been, you look at the games played next to all of them, it's kind of a mixed bag of 4 different goaltenders. So similar to what we talked about yesterday, how some programs have a bunch of goaltenders, not really one taking the realm. When you have when you have back and forth, when you have 2 guys, that's usually a good thing. But when you have 4 guys, that's kind of like a situation where it's like, all right, it's next man up situation in the back end. So Tampa, tough finish to the season after a nice 4-game win streak, but Tampa, great program. Their division, when they were Division III, when we just AAU had Division II and Division III, Tampa's Division III team came up to play against Division II teams. I believe this was 2 years ago, and they made some noise. So this Tampa team, this Division II team, great program. They have a great trickle down of talent all over the place. So something to keep an eye out for the Spartans. Coming at number 12, SUNY Brockport, upstate New York. The Golden Eagles, 13-8-1 on the year. 3 games against Division I this year, Cortland, Cornell, and Alabama. And this SUNY Brockport team is one of the teams, I'm going to keep my source anonymous, but I gave a tip. I got a tip. Brockport and a team we're going to talk about very soon might have to keep an eye out for in this tournament. Might be overlooked, might be a team that doesn't get a lot of attention. We talked about Anna Maria. Brockport and the team coming up next is someone we got to keep an eye out for. And we'll talk just briefly about this Brockport team. They're playing in that upstate conference. That upstate conference is skill. It is physicality. It is a very strong conference. Maybe does not get a lot of love, but there's a lot of good players and a lot of good programs within that upstate conference, so got a good word from a good friend, no affiliation whatsoever to anything within SUNY Brockport. They're a very strong team, to keep an eye out for. Be an interesting match right off the bat, Tampa and Brockport. Then lastly, in this pool, rank number 17, 14-2 overall, 11 players over a point a game this year. 11 players over a point a game. Another team you might keep an eye out for is Union. Union was another team, might be a little bit sneaky, good program, but there's a caveat. They played a lot of games against Division III this year, so that might be a reason you see the point total so large, but a lot of games against D3. Good overall. 14-2 is nothing to blink at or turn a blind eye to for Union. So it's, some people might think, this team, that team, how could you talk about this team? How do you think this team's going to make some noise? How do you think this team's going to make some noise? No one even knows who this team is. Tell that to Babson. Nobody knew who Babson was 2 years ago, and they won the whole thing. So every time we think this team's the front runner and I don't even know who this team is, or I don't even know where this college or university is located, that's usually the team that makes the run. I mean, Bonaventure year one was one of the unknowns that did not get much respect. And what did they do? They knocked out a top 5 seed in Farmingdale in pool play and went on to the quarterfinals. Binghamton, another team, kind of did not get much love. They went to back-to-back finals and won one. So sometimes it's the team that doesn't get much love. Just ask Babson. Back-to-back years. One of them times they won the championship. So that will do it for Pool D. And now on to the final one, Pool E. Another team that might not get a lot of love, that has a lot of talent. Ranked number 5 is Bishops. 7-6-1 overall, so the record really does not pop off the schedule, off the standings really there, but they did have a very tough schedule. 7-6-1, 3 out of league games, and also they played 2 games against D1 opponents, Farmingdale and Fairfield. I believe both were 2-goal losses, and then Mass Maritime was the D2 team as well. So a tough schedule for them. Frederick Nicholas and Ryan Massicotti. Again, my bad if I'm mispronouncing the names. 32 points, 31 points, respectively. I believe Massicotti was last year's Bishop's leading point producer as well. And those point totals I just mentioned, 32 and 31, 13 games and in 14 games. So very over a point per game production. Very high skilled for Bishops, but goaltending, and that might be the one where you might be a little iffy about, but very high talented team in Bishops representing the New England Conference. Then we got Liberty, number 6, 13-5 overall on the year. They started with a win on the year, 4-2 victory over South Carolina. So good start for the team of Liberty. 2-2 record against Penn State Harrisburg, who we mentioned earlier before. I believe Harrisburg, one of the top ranked teams. I think they are back. Let me go dig through my notes real quick. Where was Penn State Harrisburg? They are 10th and they're in Pool A. So they're in FAU's pool. So Liberty, though, the past 2 years went into the tournament as one of the more favorites and then had disappointing showing. So it goes to say, every time you think there might be a favorite, this team or that team might run away with it. Doesn't really tend to happen. Liberty the last 2 years, like I mentioned, good performance during the regular season. One of the favorites in their pools the last 2 years, and then a disappointing showing. So now in Division II, a strong season, 13-5, great record. They just got to find that regular season success and now replicate it in the national tournament. And the first game, they're going to go right up against the number 11 seed out of the College Hockey South, Clemson University. The Tigers, 14-10-1. They had that gigantic upset win in the College Hockey South playoffs against FAU, 6-4. Big win for the Tigers. And they're going to see a familiar foe during this pool play. We'll get to them in a second. Right beneath them, they have an 0-2 record, both home games against Vanderbilt this year. And those 0-2 against Vanderbilt was part of a 5-game losing streak for Clemson. So an iffy run there, but a great way. They came in second. They lost to Tennessee in that finals. But They've knocked off the number one seed, FAU. FAU was just on a war path all year and then lost a one to Clemson at the end. But we talked about them just moments ago. We'll talk more about them. Number 16, Vanderbilt, University, 9-17 overall on the year. They had 9 games against Division I. So just like Bishop's, a tough schedule. So maybe don't be fooled by the record here. As Vanderbilt, I mentioned, 9 games against Division I. They played also Alabama, Huntsville, Clemson, and Tennessee. So 3 teams I just mentioned all represented in Division II at the national tournament and the 9 games against Division I. So similar to Bishop's, very difficult schedule for Vanderbilt. And that'll be the first matchup. It'll be Bishop's, Vanderbilt, Liberty, Clemson. Then it will be Liberty, Vanderbilt, Clemson, Bishop's, and then Bishop's, Liberty, Clemson, Vanderbilt. And that will do it for Pool E. So let's go through them one more time. I'll go back to the top here. I'll get the full shot on my fisherman jersey after that disgraceful performance by the Islanders on Sunday. Us Islander fans, we knew it was coming. We were just waiting for the inevitable, and it happened in a hilarious fashion. Hilarious. So now back to Pool A. We'll run through it one more time. FAU number 1, Penn State Harrisburg number 10, Embry-Riddle number 15, and then Ramapo at number 20. It will be day 1, FAU, Ramapo, Penn State Harrisburg, Embry-Riddle. Then we got Pool B, the Gators, Mass Maritime, Anna Maria, and Newman. Gators at number 2, Mass Maritime number 9, Anna Maria at number 14, and Newman number 19. Again, top seed plays the bottom, 2 plays 3 in the first day. Then we'll go on to Pool C, High Point, represented last year in the national tournament. Then you got UCF, Alabama Huntsville, and Farmingdale State College. Going on to Pool D, Tennessee, Tampa, Brockport, and Union. And then wrapping up with Pool E, like we just mentioned, Bishop's, Liberty, Clemson, and Vanderbilt. Just going through it one more time for anyone who joined late, giving you a quick read through. And again, like we mentioned, just briefly to go over how the pools, this D2 is going to be decided. 5 pools, 5 pool winners. You have 3 wild cards, so if you don't win your pool, you are still alive. And this was decided by 2 auto bids representing each conference, and then the other 8 spots were picked by the My Hockey rankings system. So that's how we got to this point. So that wraps it up. We did D1 and D3 yesterday. Just ran through D2, 2 weeks away from the AAU national tournament. We will come very soon, just waiting on an official announcement, waiting on some games to be finished up to show the women's pool at nationals. Keep an eye out on the AAU social medias for any information pertaining to the women's pool play reveal. But that will do it. D1, D2, D3. The pools are up all over AAU social media. Be sure to keep track of those. And I'm sure everybody's teams are going to do great. You're all going to do fantastic. I think everyone's going to go 3-0. Everyone's going to love all my opinions. No one's going to have any issues with anything I said. I'm sure of it. I can't be more confident. I can't wait for the side-eyes at the tournament when I get there. Everyone's going to do great. Don't worry. So for Jordan DeLuciano of the AAU Overtime Podcast, thanks for joining us, and we will see you all soon when we reveal the women's national tournament bracket.